not read it.
Okay, thank you so much, Tammy.
Yeah. We don't need
Thank
to,
you.
we don't need to witness a crash, Al.
Yeah,
I know,
thank you.
I'm sorry about this. I couldn't get out of it. I committed to this a while ago and I couldn't get out.
That's fine.
It's okay. No worries. The first order of business, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 4:04. And we need to approve the minutes from February 16th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I got two copies. One's stamped to draft and one says approved, but I don't think we've approved these minutes. Has everybody read them?
I have,
And did anybody have any corrections? I personally didn't.
no.
I didn't either.
Move we
Okay,
approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the Lincoln Building Committee meeting minutes from February 16th as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so John and Ron, first and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. Thank you. Next, we have review department head list of wants and needs for a new building. Did everybody get the emails from, I think this is planning. Carol sent one on a spreadsheet.
Yep.
Yeah, Carol's like 2 pages long.
Yeah, I know. Town clerk, tax collector, town hall, and then police department.
Yep,
And I sent one along too. I think it may have been labeled town hall, but
yeah, this is,
Okay.
it says town manager's suggestions.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I didn't print that one, but that's okay. I read
Yeah.
through all of these, and there was one thing that really jumped out at me. I believe it was town clerk, and I didn't make notes while I was reading it, and I should have. I like the technology part of it all. I mean, we know this, we need more room, we need more closets, we need more office space, they need a larger meeting room. Possibly, I like the suggestion of having a room large enough to hold town meeting in at whatever new building is. That's a great thing. But the town clerk tax collector really hit on the technology of it. And I was thinking if we were to build new buildings and bond it, maybe we should think about suggesting that they bond part of the technology. They're gonna need new, not just new wires and new lines and things like that, but new computers, new hardware. Anyway, that was the one thing that really stood out to me with these wants and needs lists. A lot of them were just, I expected, separate bathrooms for the public and the folks in the office, and the fireproof, climate controlled rooms for keeping records and things like that. That was kind of a no-brainer. Did anything stick out to anybody else?
The size of the various rooms that people wanted aren't there, and that's very important because you go by the dollars per square foot in most instances. So if somehow people go back and look at the list where they've said, well, we want to expand this room, or we want this room here, or a bathroom here, if somebody could put the sizes in that they're looking at, would really help a lot in figuring out what the cost of this thing's going to be.
Do we have some type of blueprint of the existing town hall? So we're just talking town hall right now, correct? A separate building.
well, I would hope we're talking about police and fire, and then morph the discussion into does town hall move? I think the original, I believe the original impetus was police, fire, and oh, by the way, if we're going to go through all this, did we not think about bringing town hall along? That's what I thought.
Right, and I thought Tammy brought up the fact that it would be more beneficial to put town hall and a separate piece of property on the right-hand side of Mansion Hill.
Yeah, that was definitely a suggestion.
I think
Right, and then put fire and police and dispatch in a separate building.
Next to the highway, yeah.
and I don't think we should ignore, as a general thing to discuss, is the remodel, keeping town hall where it is, and bringing the building up to today's, or standards plus 30, standards plus 50, whatever.
It's definitely an option.
Because we, I think when you start looking at a police fire complex, I believe it's gonna eat up what we think is a pretty decent sized lot over there at the old airport. It's gonna eat it up pretty quick, I think. But maybe not, but I think.
There's actually, Butch, I think there's 2 plots of land we're discussing. The plot on the old airport, on the left-hand side of Mansion Hill, and then the right-hand side, I think Tammy brought up the idea of maybe Town Hall being in separate partial of land, which is a smaller partial.
Yeah, I agree. There are some, as you know, that smaller piece in particular has some, not challenging, but some serious drainage issues.
Yes.
We'd have to, and that might limit the size of the building there with parking. The good part is, that I think is exciting, is it very easily is attached to the community center, albeit even if it's just a small road that goes to that lot now that you're throwing gravel on, and that's a big parking lot where the community gardens are, and all that. That is a sizable chunk of land right there. I mean, that frankly has become storage for the public works, but I don't think it's utilized like it should be. So that's something to consider too.
We've talked about municipal parking there as well. I think if that were
Take a
closer to
town hall.
already being municipal parking.
Take a town hall building there and share the parking with the community center, everything that goes on there. That might be a very nice complex.
Yeah.
And couple it with the land that Al was talking about. I think police and fire on the airport is going to eat that with all that everybody that I've heard Chad and Jeff and Ron talk about, with the drive-through bays and things like that, that there isn't going to be a lot left there.
Right. A couple of things that we may have to prioritize. This is not going to be cheap. This is going to be a big fight for the taxpayers to swallow here. We may have to prioritize. Maybe we say that the town building is the most important thing right now, and that needs to be built and everything else can wait. Maybe we say police and fire are the 2 that need to be addressed immediately, and town hall can wait, 4, 5, 10, 12 years, whatever it is. We may have to prioritize, so we should keep that in the back of our minds.
So how do we come up with this decision then?
What John was talking about a minute ago, where he said the room sizes, because I had the same question. Looking at Chad and Jeff's list here, I don't know who came up with it. I'm assuming you did it together, so we'll just go with that. It says larger single offices for admin and supervisors, approximately 6. Well, what is larger? Because I'm not really sure what you have now. Do you have 6 by 6 offices and you want 12 by 12? Do you have 12 by 12 and want 20 by 20? It was in the basement, you put as a basement thing, evidence room. How big does an evidence room need to be? Can it be a 4-foot closet with shelves, or do you need a 20-foot room with that's the kind of things I think John was touching at. A quiet room. Does that mean like something with bunks and maybe a couch where you can decompress? I love the list. The list is awesome. And this
Very
is exactly
complete.
what I was looking for. However, I don't know, larger patrol room. How large is the one now? I mean, I can kind of picture it, but I don't. Larger dispatch center. How large do you need?
I didn't put down numbers when we were drafting this because we hadn't gotten to the point where we're talking about an architect. Because all of that is kind of what space do you occupy and how much can you use for this item. Dispatch might have to be smaller if you put a dispatch supervisor's office next to it. I mean, there's a give and take for everything that you do. If I put down everything, it's going to be a 50,000 square complex, and that's not realistic.
I would rather start with the moon and then scale it down if we have to.
Yeah, but are we
If
putting,
you really want a 50 by 50 dispatch room, put it down. It might end up gonna be 50 by 30, but we'll do our best to get you what you need. Does that make
And
sense?
the other thing is which rooms should be adjacent to other rooms. That's important, especially for the police function, I think.
Yeah, good call.
And the other thing is too, can we make this a two-story building? Because the firehouse is gonna be the height of a two-story building because we need the height for the ladder trucks and for the pumpers. So the doors are gonna be at least 10, 12 feet high. So is it possible that the police station can have admin on the second floor, totally separate, and have some of the offices in these other needed rooms on a second floor? Would it be feasible to go up then go out?
Good call.
yeah, and I think an architect might answer that when we get to that. I think, to get back, and I don't want to keep derailing, but I think early on in this process, we should establish a priority. Or the committee should establish a priority on what's the most need. And I can tell you that right now, the PD,
Police department.
the PD, that's just my opinion.
I agree.
Second would be fire, because the town is gonna have, need to have, a fire station and accommodate full-time personnel in the near future. And town hall, frankly, with some upgrades and, air quality issues and
Fairly
space freed up,
significant upgrades.
right, and the space is being freed up downstairs to move like planning or something. I mean, we're just thinking outside the box,
Sure.
could buy the town a lot of years. So if we really got jammed up, if that didn't work,
Right.
then obviously put town hall third and then try to move with, two separate buildings. But I don't know if the town would like that. So that's my idea of priority.
Yeah,
I think police and fire should move together. I don't think we should be building a police station and then come back in 5 years, build a fire station. I don't think that's practical at all. The easiest one to split off would be town hall. The town hall staff, planning, town clerk, recreation, I would think.
And Butch, I have to agree with you 100%. If the police vacate the basement, is there available rooms downstairs that can be utilized by different departments?
Sure. I mean, I would think just knowing the configuration down there, but we have some of the reason the PD is moving this space, but there's also air quality issues down there. So I don't want to move town hall staff in there unless there's some major upgrades and,
significant improvement, right?
significant upgrades to quality of life. But yes, you can spread out and, I'm just thinking out loud, planning with all their record storage and,
Right.
the town clerk could use them, or the town clerk could even come in on the lower level down there and town clerk have more space. I don't know.
Would it
There are
be easier to sell it to the taxpayers, like maybe a two-stage project for the next 20 years? First stage would be fire and police, because the police desperately need space, and then fire next. And then in 10 years from now, having a master plan that we're gonna do town hall.
Maybe. Now, the only flip side on that is that we won't be able to sell the current town hall police department building to offset any of the costs. So there's one negative. The other negative is that there's significant amount of money that will need to be put into that building to make it safe and functioning for the next 10 years. I mean, there's the sprinkler system, the air handling system, the insulation. There's a lot of stuff. It's going to take hundreds of thousands to bring it up to where it needs to be for the last 10 years. And we want to save that kind of money in.
Security, you're talking security issues that
Yeah.
be addressed, and there's a whole, and looking out 30 to 50 years. I mean, they're telling us that's what we should be looking at. But I know I won't be around, but, you know, so,
I mean, I don't disagree that maybe we can put one off for a while. However, we just need to realize that there are downfalls to that also. Um,
you know,
But
and
yeah.
it's, I think we gotta get to a point, at least my suggestion is we get to a point with ideas so that we decide whether or not we want to actually spend some dollars to get a architectural firm in
Yes.
to advise us. Because that's, and there's no sense us reinventing the wheel. You get these outfits that have done this, they're gonna come in and they're gonna tell us what the, you know, national standard is for, space for police officers, you know, and booking. They get all that down, and then, and it'll come in Cadillac, and then we pair off from that. I mean, that's my thought.
That's a good segue into the next line item on our agenda, which is goals and objectives for this project. Um,
Could I make, could
Say
I
that
make one suggestion or ask about something? The money that you're talking about putting into the existing town hall to upgrade that, if you move the police, you move the fire, how much would it cost to renovate that fire station, the existing fire station for your town hall? And then you could sell that piece of land where the police and town hall is now. If
Well,
you're gonna put $100,000 into the town hall building, what could you do? The old fire station or the existing fire station, you put 100,000 into that.
That's not a bad idea. However, there are still structural issues with the fire department building now. So
Yeah,
that
that building,
as well would take a significant chunk of money to fix the structural issues and then renovate it for offices. Not that it couldn't be done, but
yeah,
that's not
I
bad.
would,
But that would open that, the
Well, if you're
lane
gonna
where the
not-
fire building is now.
to be honest, if you're gonna move out of our existing town hall, if that's the decision, then we should do a whole new facility because, uh, Tammy, Tammy said it, that, I'm not sure, while the fire station is large, you'd be amazed at the amount of space we would need for a town hall. So I don't think it's big enough. I don't think the lot, expansion of the lot and structurally, the roof structures on that building were severely damaged when the whole truck bays were sinking into the old boiler room. We were able to dig that out years back and stabilize it, but you know, the truss structures in that roof took quite a beating. And
Right.
2 pallets worth of 2x4s, 2 lifts of 2x4s out there to brace it up. So I would, it's a good idea, Jim, but I would,
Yeah, 'cause I didn't know how bad that building was.
right, I wouldn't want to see the town spend their energies and money there. I think if the town hall becomes where you don't want to be, then I would think you'd want to think about, even if it's 10 to 15, 20 years out, 10 years, plan
Right.
for a new town hall and do it right. You know, like you said, build it,
Good thought, though. It was definitely a good thought.
build it in 30 to 50 years, they can look back and say, Jim, that was a great idea Jim had, or that committee had, they've done a good job. And, you know, that's my suggestion, and it's only a suggestion.
So the goals for this project, I mean, once we finalize our job, whatever that job is, then we give it to the selectmen, and the selectmen ultimately decide whether to move forward with it, put it on the ballot, I mean, the warrant or not. So we just need to do all the legwork we can, short of hiring the engineers and the architects. Because that's what the selectmen are gonna have to do. Once we give this all over to the selectmen, not that we won't still have a committee, because we certainly will, the selectmen will still need the committee's help. We need to do a lot of the legwork for them to decide.
I can give you an example. It was just mentioned that we have a meeting room. Somebody mentioned having a meeting room that you could hold town meeting in. Well, that's gonna be a room that would have to have around 100 people, maybe a little bit more, because you have
200.
town meeting and
200.
Well, the square foot for that, Ron can probably do it on top of his head. Just the square footage that you would need per person to accomplish that one room.
Well, the existing meeting room at Town Hall is what, 79 people? Is that correct, Ron?
Yeah.
75, 79? You're muted, but am I close? So that,
Tight.
right, but one for town meeting would have to be more than double that size.
Right.
But that could also be used for smaller meetings too, right?
Oh, yeah, but it's just the physical.
Carol's got 3 different size conference rooms on her, from 3 to 8 people up to one that will hold 200.
And
Why
see,
not
that can
do
be
the one room?
with one room, with then you get those sliding dividers. And then you can
Exactly,
put it into 2 rooms if you needed to.
exactly.
I like the idea of having multiple conference rooms though, but that would just be for town hall, I would assume. Then the police and fire are going to need their own conference room. Now, can that be a shared conference room between police and fire, or do there need to be separate ones?
I think there's a lot of, and I'm just speaking for myself, not for both chiefs. I think there's a lot of shared rooms that the fire and police could share, like a workout room with weights and stuff and physical activity. They could actually share probably a locker room, men and women. You know, they could probably share one conference room between the both of them. They could probably share a commercial kitchen. So if there was a kitchen between both of them, they would have access. I think those are some of the rooms that could be shared, maybe like on a first or even a second floor, and to utilize it, especially if that room isn't being utilized every single day. It's on a on-call basis.
Kitchen.
I think we mentioned once about sharing locker rooms though, and there was an issue with if
Firearms.
and if the fire department comes back from a very toxic fire, you don't want them in with the police department guys changing in the same room.
Yeah, like a decontamination thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Right, and if the fire department came back, we'd probably institute a dirty room to begin with, which they would not come back with their gear. First of all, it would be bagged up in bags and then put directly into the extractors, and they would have their own like dirty shower unit where they could wash down. I'm more or less referring to if the guys worked out or if they went for a run, and if we looked at full-time status and just a regular men's locker room, maybe not. And fire department could have their own small, dirty room. They don't need anything large for that.
So,
That's pretty
Ron just
cool,
put
Ron.
up a
Where'd you
big
do that?
plan for a fire.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a conference room. We could have a shared training room, and have all the audio and everything we need up to date, and it could be maybe split between both fire and police in the center of a building, and access. You could control access to it. If there was a police event which had high security, then the fire doors could be somehow security system could be locked so nobody could walk in on a meeting. And same with fire. It'd be all up to a security system.
Hey, I like that picture, Ron. What is a day room used for? I saw a day room. What is that room for?
Let me share it back again. Where'd it go? Where'd you see the day?
On the bottom.
Right there on the bottom.
That's probably just an area for officers or firefighters decompress. They can just go in.
For your full-time, in most places, that, as far as I know, especially in the fire side, a day room would be for your full-time staff. Take breaks, eat lunch, watch some TV tonight, the night crew, whatever. That's usually considered a day room.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this concept I'm showing here is the fireside's on the left, and Chad could design his police side to go on the right-hand side. We were talking about coming back from a call, in the decon room, that's right on the fire side of things.
Yeah.
Dirty gear, everything goes in what the cursor is, into the extractors, whatever. And
I
then
don't see locker rooms.
What's that?
Was that right there in the center? Is that a locker room, the turnout gear place?
That's where the turnout gear. I've got another picture I can show you. The modern locker. Yeah, let me get some photos.
The office to store records in, Ron.
Yeah, well, there could be a second floor. This is just the ground level.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share. So just picture that locker room, but this is kind of the turnout gear lockers.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, okay.
So it's the air can move, come and go as it needs. You know, you put clean gear in there, and actually this room's set up so that you could take all the gear out of there and you can move everything. Walls, lockers, so you get them
Sit down, yeah.
center. And then I've got another picture that just a kind of an outside concept look.
So one of the firehouses we built in Manchester recently, you had direct access to the apparatus bay where the fire trucks were, and the firefighters went directly into a dirty room, which was a room where they could be actually washed down, their gear brought in, and when you left that room, you actually left with your basically just your underwear and a robe. They had robes in there. You could leave, so everything you were contaminated with could be left in that room, and then you'd go to like a small shower room where you could shower one at a time, and then when you get out of there, you basically clean. And that could be, you know, that doesn't have to be a full-size locker room. That could be 1 or 2 small showers, probably back to back or something, just to do a quick wash down.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Now I'm gonna start looking up fire department and police department designs.
Well, I
Yeah,
didn't.
I think one of the best things to do is actually, and I talked to Chief Beard about this, about probably, you know, visiting a couple of the newer firehouses that were built and get some ideas, and take all these ideas and kind of combine them. And also, Chief, where is this print from? This is from, you just showed, what firehouse was that? What complex was that?
Oh, I don't remember, to be honest with you. I had saved
I mean,
a few of them.
Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe not even invent the wheel. Maybe take a lot of these ideas right here and have a lot of this information already available for an architect to look at and just redefine it as to what the 2 chiefs really need.
Right.
I agree. I
I
agree.
mean, I think, to be honest with you, I think Chief Morris and his detective and some of those guys would personally not want to have any, interference with the public. They'd probably want their own offices on the 2nd floor, and maybe, you know, certain rooms on the 2nd floor away from the public or away from, you know, ordinary traffic, and they could have, you know, their own privacy. I think, and security-wise, I think that would be a great idea too.
It's just another picture of a finished product, you know, looking in, kind of like where the public will come in and meet the receptionist, whatever, and then you have an open concept meeting room there and stuff. There's a lot of.
Now the other. Go ahead, Chief.
I just saying, there's a lot of examples out there, and like you said, we could pick what we like and save some architect time and just tell them this is what we want, put it together for us with the dimensions we think we need.
I mean, one of the things I'd like to see is, I think we need to move dispatch center is going to have to move. So we may focus around the center hub of the complex, start with the dispatch center and see what their needs are. Because I believe they have fairly new equipment that can be transferred over there, and then go by what their needs are and then build out from there, and, you know, try to accommodate Chief Morris's request and Chief Baird's request, and see what we can fit into certain blueprints that are already out there, and just make adjustments instead of trying to start right from, what works and what doesn't work. Some stations probably New Hampshire, even the country here, I'm sure there's certain stations that work well that we can, you know, get some kind of a blueprint online and just, you know, mark it up to say what actually would work for us, and, efficiently, and the cost too. I mean, we got to sell this to the taxpayers. And, I'd hate to work on this for 2 or 3, 4 years and get voted down like the water meters.
No kidding. No kidding.
And this may end
I
up
do
having to
like
be,
Chad's idea too, again, Chad or Jeff, Chad and Jeff, there we go. That, of having a, reception area with a receptionist or secretary, whatever you want to call it. So that the dispatchers can stay dispatching and not have to ignore the people that come into the lobby if there's something immediate they're trying to do, or to take away. And I like that idea. So if we start the front door, you walk right into a receptionist or,
I think it could be worked into Al's idea of separating, in a hub fashion. But the first face you would see would be a reception person with a phone bank to the fire department and all the extensions, and the police department and all their extensions. And then if that turns into a detective or a administrative or whatever, that can all be routed from the first person.
Exactly. That instead of making that first focal point, the dispatch, will make it a receptionist and go back and out from there.
Yeah, the police, fire department in Moultonborough, their station shares a common receptionist. In that building, and that's a few years old now, but it works very well there. And they split the cost of that reception area, and
Perfect.
the routine traffic, obviously the PD has their own for customers that they don't want to run through the lobby. They have that, but
Okay, just saying right now, this complex is not going to be that big.
right.
oh, no, I was just wondering if Butch would remember visiting that one,
Well, yeah, that's where we picked up the
Cottonwood, Arizona.
Cottonwood, Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
And that's kind of what you're talking about, is the main entrance is kind of in the center of this building. You got fire on the left, police on the right, but you
Yeah,
go
exactly.
secured area with a receptionist. What's your business? If it's fire, then that person would call and have someone come out and meet that person.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be anywhere near that big.
Well, that picture makes it look a lot bigger than it truly is. When we were there, we parked in the center and it was on the corner. It was on the corner of a street, two intersecting streets.
Gotcha. So I think we all agree that we need to concentrate on a building for police and fire dispatch first. Then town hall when and if we get there. Does everybody agree?
Yep.
Does anyone disagree? Okay, perfect.
I agree 100%.
Good. We'll just keep going on the agenda here.
Yep.
Discuss the site assessment or surveys for the two properties. Well, we can't spend any money surveying yet until we bring something to the selectmen. However, we can go off of what's on the tax map, which can be printed right off the Town of Lincoln's website to get square footage and whatnot. And they're pretty close. The dimensions of the property on that website are pretty close. So we'll know what we're working with as far as the sizes of the pieces of land. And Ron, I'll challenge you to make a copy and email it to everyone. Yes.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that for you.
And one of the other things I think we should think about before we go really too far ahead is that site safe to build on? I mean, I know that the old airport was there, but are we gonna get into construction, find out there are PCBs, there were some kind of hazardous materials buried there years ago? Is that a safe site, and is there anything we should be aware of?
I think it's a pretty safe site, honestly.
Yeah,
I
think that was just a grass landing strip. I don't think there really was any refueling going on or anything
Yeah.
like that.
No, grass
What's that?
landing strip, and actually the section of land that we're gonna use right now is where Audley packed all his trucks and loaders, bulldozers. The couple of office trailers were there.
When they were constructed in 93, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty safe site, honestly. I don't think we're gonna run into
Okay.
anything. Yeah, I do.
Of course, you won't hit anything unless you put a basement in.
I think
Right,
we're
but that may be a consideration, because if the police chief said, I need an armory
Right.
and I'd like a firing range for my officers to keep up the par, I mean, there's a possibility that we could put a basement in for that section of the building and give him that armory and that, and also that firing range, which would, if that's what something he wishes.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think, to be honest with you, I don't think the mill's didn't reach that far as contaminating anything.
No,
Yeah. Debbie, do you have a basement in your house, a full
Yes.
basement? And does
Yes.
it stay dry?
Does it stay dry? No.
No, it gets wet.
It's
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say-
there's no overhang on my roof, so everything runs right down. And my house should have actually been up another foot to 2 feet higher than the foundation actually is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the water table is far down there.
It's very sandy soil though, rocky sandy
Yeah.
soil.
Hmm.
So I would say the drainage is pretty good.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The next thing
And I have a shooting range in my cellar.
nice,
You're not
I
supposed to tell us that.
that's cool.
You
The
know, you
next
do have
thing-
2 police officers on this call.
See you soon.
she can shoot in her own basement, can't she, or not?
I don't even have a gun.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
It was there when I bought the house.
Awesome.
So the application process for New Hampshire DOT access to Route I-93 North, you wanted to discuss that. I don't know what that
Yes.
would be, honestly.
Okay, so I had an idea of, take advantage of direct access to 93 northbound for quicker response for both police and fire. If instead of going all the way down West Spur, down to Main Street, get on exit 32, you could probably save yourself a good 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile right there.
Not
And
only that, the time on weekends.
yes. And I know they did it in Manchester recently to Engine 4, and it's possible. And I talked to the executive council, Joe Kenny, and I explained to him what we were looking for, and we could get some help from him. He said, if you need help, he would definitely help us. So there's a big plus right there.
I love the idea.
crossover right there too.
For emergency
There's a
purposes.
crossover, yeah. Ron talks about the crossover. If you could get on there and then even if you had to go southbound, you just hit the
Exactly.
crosswalk. Yeah, so.
And how does Chief Morris feel about it?
I think it's a great idea, just on its face. I think it's wonderful to have access to the highway without having to go through town to get on it. And again, the crossover's right there. So if you have to reverse direction, that's possible too. So I think it's a great idea.
Okay. I think that's one of the things we need to make a call or just to see how we start the process for the application. It may take a year or two just for that application, go through DOT. It may have to go through the executive council. I'm not sure, but it's just an idea we need to bring up early so we don't start moving forward with this and then we find out we got a 3-year application period before this would take effect. So.
Yeah, I think you want to get in early because it would have to get on the DOT's construction list and then it would be prioritized. And you're right, that could take several years.
Yep.
Even
I'll
if
have
it,
to fix the fence too.
even if it got, even if
Good
it
luck
got
with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Good luck with this thing, the application.
even if it got approved quickly, it still could be several years before it came out of the pecking order when they spend the money to do it.
Right.
That in mind and get on it as quick as we can. Old and new business is the next thing on the agenda. Ron, I'd love to get together with you and try to come up with a rudimentary design using some of those templates that you have.
Okay.
And run it by Chad and Jeff and see, get a little input. And then our next meeting that we have in April, we can kind of share that with everybody and get some more input, thoughts, ideas.
Did anybody get a chance, and I haven't, to get up to Twin and looked at their facility?
Not inside.
I called and they said due to COVID that they weren't letting people in.
All
So
right. We'll keep an eye on that. I'd like to see that in as.
I did call
Yeah,
last month. I called in February, so I don't
Yeah, I
know if they
think-
opened it yet or not.
I think that's probably all going to change because I think this month's Twin State meeting is going to be an in-person meeting.
Oh,
So-
cool.
I think probably they'll be allowing people into stations if they're doing the Twin State meetings,
Sure.
Yeah.
but we can find out.
Well, I think most for personnel, first responder, police, fire, et cetera, ambulance, they, for the most part, have been vaccinated. So that should start opening up.
Chief, I'd be interested if I could attend or even go up there with you
Sure.
on a visit.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Great. Does anybody
Sure you
else
do.
have any other new business?
We'll bring Chief Morris and the deputy with us that day.
Sure.
Beautiful.
Can I ask, there's a Kathy signed on and I don't know who that is. Kathy, can you tell me your last name for the minutes? Kathy, can you unmute and let me know what your last name is, please? Just so we have the record for the minutes.
Hello?
Hello?
Now I can't hear you. I did something.
What is your
Hello?
last?
There it is, Ficeto.
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 Thank you, Kathy.
Sorry, not used to doing this.
No worries.
Kathy, do you have any input?
Not really. I kind of came in late. So I'm not even quite sure where you're talking about putting this building.
The base of
Okay.
Mansion Hill.
Okay. No, I don't know enough about it to say anything.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Now we have Ivan Strickon and I'm assuming that's Paul Bowden on. Would you like to ask them if they have any comment?
Sure.
Ivan or Paul?
Paul, Ivan, any comments?
Just like to see town hall remain on Main Street. I think every town hall should be on Main Street. Police, fire, that's no problem. Looks good actually. But I think that town hall, and I think once PD leaves the building, there should be ample room for town hall to expand. Maybe to use it as storage area, maybe to use it as offices. But I think there's a certain pride in having your town hall on Main Street. And that's really the only comment I have.
Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you so much.
Paul?
Yeah, I only have a couple comments. One is that I agree with Ivan. And after being on all of these committees, I was on a library, the fire department in the town. And I know, Tammy, you take exception with some of that, but we can just, at some point in time, if you want to discuss why all the changes were and what we did and why we did what we did, I certainly would be amenable to explaining that all to you, but I'm not going to do that now. But I will tell you that having been on all of those building committees, that the historical importance of the town building is greatly appreciated by this town. And the undoing of the two original building committees for the town was because we were trying to tear down the town building. When we did the library, it was the same thing. That's why we incorporated the building into the new addition to the library. So those structures, and not to mention the fact that if you really were to sell it and say someone came into the planning board, would be a historical building, considered a historical building, and they would be limited to what they could do to it. So I'm not sure. I mean, while a property may be valuable to be on Main Street and in and of itself, the fact that it's been a part of the town so long, you know, if they came into the planning board and I go through that historical portion of it, that would be, you might want to take a look into that. I also think that getting rid of any town land, it's not a great thing because we're not making any new land on Main Street or anywhere close to town anymore. And by getting rid of it, you kind of limit where the future of the town and what they could do if the other needs come up. So I think if you're going to build a building, you ought to make it stand on its face and do what you want. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
And I understand exactly where Paul's going with the town hall. I mean, I've heard a couple comments from people saying that town hall should always be on Main Street. And should we invest the money to bring it up to par? Maybe we should start looking into putting a little more money into a reserve account every year and come up with a game plan for 10 years to bring town hall up to where it should be 100% and focus on fire and police and dispatch.
Sure. Sure. I'm glad both Ivan and Paul said that. Honestly, I am. And I think that's a great plan that maybe our next meeting, we discuss that, maybe focusing on keeping town hall where it is and bringing that building up to par where it's going to be a 50, 60-year town hall building where we don't, it'll be effective for 50 to 60 years. And just concentrate on building a new police and fire complex. Does anybody
Is
have
there
any?
any new business?
Oh, Paul's got something else to say. You're muted, Paul. You have to unmute.
Sorry about that. Also, when the fire department was built, I know you're talking about going out 50 or 60 years and looking at it. The going out those years was considered in a lot of ways. That parking that's along that side of the building was always thought to be that the building could expand that way, and that the parking, that little parking lot across the street was always originally built so that the fire department could use that parking. That was the original intent of building that building, not to mention that it couldn't go up. And I realize there's cost associated with everything, but just like, just like us, when buildings get old, they need a lot of care. So, if we don't put the money into them, they're not going to be worth anything. So, but the fire department really was scheduled to use up that property in the future. So just so you know how it was presented to the town when it was presented and when it was built, just so you're aware of that. I just wanted to let you know.
Thanks, Paul.
All right.
Any other new business, anyone?
No, the only thing I'd like to say about keeping the town building on Main Street, because it's been talked about at town meetings and everything. If the state comes in and says 2 lanes each way on Main Street, you're going to have some kind, would they allow you to have some kind of light there so people would even be able to get out of that parking lot? Would they allow a light?
I bet if they put 2 lanes on Main Street, I bet they would redirect that parking lot. I think you would exit off the side or even the back.
You'd still be coming out into 4 lanes of traffic.
It'd probably be a right turn only, and then you'd have to navigate how you're going to reverse your
Yeah,
direction.
who knows? Let's just hope and pray that they don't do that for a long,
Right,
long,
but I mean,
long time.
it's a
Oh, I think
possibility.
the thing you got, and I'm glad you're moving. I think, and I do agree that having your town hall on Main Street in a historical building is a great idea. It
Pride
really
in it,
is.
yeah.
The problem we have there now is where it's shared parking, the main parking lot with the businesses across the street, and there's bound to be more businesses there in coming years. But with the PD out and you could
You open up parking out back.
you could do some creative parking. Ron had an idea where we literally would build the parking right out over that existing parking lot. So you'd almost have a drive through under and parking on top, and you could expand your parking there pretty easily. I mean, we own it. So, so I think that's a good move. I think that's, people like the brick, the historical nature of it. I think it's a great idea. It just is not fitting, I mean, just in our operation there now, we're not busting as seems as bad as the PD is, but you will in in years to come.
If the PD moves out of there, you can expand
Yep.
downstairs too.
Yep.
So the possibilities there are, building needs some renovation, that's all.
Yep. No, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else?
Has there been talk about making Main Street 4 lanes?
There's been not any official talk, no. DOT has this, it's a state road, it's not a town road, and the State Department of Transportation has taken issue with some of the traffic backups, and mostly it's when the traffic backs up onto 93 when they're coming off of exit 32. And which is why we have the center turn lane now. So there have been unofficial whispers,
Okay.
nothing concrete yet, and hopefully we don't get there.
Oh, let's hope.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. I'm looking at April's calendar. Does Tuesday work for everybody?
Yes.
Tuesday, April 20
Yep,
at
Yep.
4 p.m. again?
yep.
Sure. Yep.
Great. Tuesday, April 20 at 4 p.m. We're going to do this again. Ron and I are going to try to come up with, and with Chad and Jeff's help, a rudimentary design that we can have something concrete to look at and pick away at and make suggestions and whatnot. And that's what, maybe we'll focus on that for the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Beautiful. Yep.
Great.
Who should take the next step for DOT? If we're gonna get ahead of this on-ramp access, we should probably start that sooner than later, right?
I'll tell you what, guys.
Can't officially start the application process. However, we can start inquiring as to how to do that.
Right. Chad, Ron, Jeff, why don't we, the four of us, get together and I'll actually make a call up to District 1. And we
Okay.
can get one of the engineers up there and tell them what we're thinking, and I'm sure, I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna ship us down to Concord to the traffic division, but that's fine. We'll go through the political channels, start at the bottom and let them push us up. We'll see if we can get some indication from them what the process would be to make a formal application. Because frankly, guys, I don't know what you think, but whether we build a fire station or a police station over there or not, I always thought it would be good to have an on-ramp there. It was originally designed for an on and off ramp, and they just, back in the day, they gave up on it, but they've left the possibility. So
Well, they moved it to where 32 is now. They did 32 and 33 where there was only going to be one right there.
right.
They
So,
broke
but
it into two instead of having the one.
'Cause I
If
remember,
we're having these talks, just be careful, do not get the ball rolling yet, just kind
No,
of.
but they'll know if it's even possible. They would tell you, yeah, good luck, don't even try it, so.
Yeah,
We
okay.
want to know, so there's
Well,
no
and
sense,
You
there's
know,
no
and
sense us spending time talking about something that can never happen.
Sure.
and let's not lose sight that, the closer we get to a design, keep an eye on grants, because that could help fund a lot of this project.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
a
there's-
question.
Even
Would that,
renovating the town hall, if it's an historical building.
Possibly. Chad?
Possibly.
I just had a question about that on-ramp. Would that be for the public's use or just for public safety?
No, just public safety
That's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
with a automatic gate.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
I don't think it would
Well,
be
that's
good to
what we
route
would
traffic
shoot
through
for.
Pollard Road.
I mean, that's what we would shoot for, whether DOT, they'll do what they want, but we'd
An
shoot for.
interesting note, Chad. Originally, the main route was going to be up Church Street, down Pollard Road to the interstate, and that was going to be your on and off ramps right there.
Wow.
And then on the other side of it, onto the rest of Connector Road there, which used to be Pollard Road. But that was the original design. I've seen those blueprints. And
Wow.
they nixed that and then did with two of them, 32 and 33, instead of just having that one.
Gotcha. Yeah, I couldn't imagine that traffic on the side street.
Sure.
I've
But
got those
that's why
blueprints.
that end of Pollard Road is so much wider than the other end of Pollard Road.
Okay.
East Spur Road was supposed to be the on-ramp and off-ramp.
Sure. Yep.
I've got those blueprints.
Oh, cool. I saw them. Ed Von Jeanette brought them in one time and I saw them once.
Yeah, I've got them. Yeah.
Very cool. I love that. Hang on to them.
Okay,
All right, we are adjourning at 4:58. Everybody good?
we're good.
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 Talk to
Have
you
a
later.
great day.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.